Hi again.
Hi again.
Today we want to talk about bloom stage and our top 5 tips.
Top 5 tips.
Top 5.
Top 5 tips. Top 5 tips for bloom. Because you've already seen the top 5 tips for veg and seedling. So here we are.
So.
There's Audie.
Meow. My first tip for bloom would be at your first sign of bloom, you start feeding it. Now personally, I don't give my plants anything until bloom, so this is actually a really important step for me in my organic grow. So that's when I actually start top dressing it and giving it feed for its bloom stage, is the very first signs of bloom. And
Yeah.
what was that? What were we saying earlier? What does it look like when it's in bloom?
Looks like my head. The dandelion stage.
If it looks like Neil's head.
When the pistil hairs popping, that's how you know you're about to start to head into bloom. So we usually watch for when you see the pistil hairs start to really condense and they start to look kind of like dandelions. That's how you know your it's well on its way into flower.
Yes.
So that's usually when
that's my first sign to feed.
Yeah, that's when Heaven will do her first top dress, and that can depend completely on what kind of soil you're using, what kind of nutrients you're feeding. You know, if your plants make it all the way that far without having to do anything but water, entirely depends on what your soil mix is and how all of that stuff is going. So
feed those babies, because they're gonna get hungry, and this is the time.
Dandelion stage.
That little babes.
That's the time to feed them.
The babe.
Number 2, removing larvae and pruning the bottom of your plant. So usually bottom third, and I usually start doing this even in veg, is just removing stuff at the bottom that you know is not getting light and it's never going to develop to anything.
Yeah.
Start chopping that stuff out as early as possible, and once you start going into flower and you see the dandelions, be aggressive with lower stuff. That's just going to end up being larvae. Like,
yes.
Get it out of there, cut it out. You know, the sooner you cut it out, the more the plant can focus energy on
that's key.
Your top buds and your main bud sites.
Be diligent on taking out those little flowers that it just aren't going to amount to much or even get much light.
Yeah, just remove as much as you can because it's just going to help the rest of your plant grow better.
Yeah, you want all the energy to go to the big juicy buds. Not those bottom eggy buds.
Not the little.
Get those ones out of here.
Who wants to trim up the larvae?
Nobody wants that. You want the good stuff.
Yep. So trim all your bottom buds, and usually for me, just kind of rule of thumb, like bottom third of the plant. I don't want anything except just branches. No bud sites.
I have a hard time doing this myself.
Cut it out there, and you know you'll see as the plant starts to develop and starts to go into flower what are probably the best ones to chop out. But it's going to be the stuff way down at the bottom.
Use your best judgment.
Way less pistil hairs. You know, it's just going to be little knobby ones. Just get them out of there. It's not really going to benefit.
I don't know. And in that same token, our third is defoliating leaves. Now, personally, I like to keep as many leaves as I can.
Yep.
In bloom stage, but there are those times you do have to try to tuck them or get rid of them completely.
Yeah, definitely. Leaf tucking is really great, especially when your plants are getting into flower and you don't want big leaves covering bud sites or, you know, preventing light from hitting them because that's just going to slow down their production and growth. So generally we just try and leaf tuck as much as possible to get stuff out of the way because the plant can still draw nutrients. It can still gather light with the leaf even though it's, you know, tucked down. It's still going to be beneficial to the plant. We find it's better to leave it on there and tuck it. But definitely if you have big leaves that are blocking bud sites and there is no good way to tuck it, definitely just cut it out of there. Yeah,
because if you know, I mean, you got to use your best judgment again. If you know that leaf is gonna hinder your grow over help your grow, you, like I said, you just got to use your best judgment as far as that goes.
And that's something that we do throughout the whole stage of the plant growth. Like we really have shied away from a lot of actual defoliation and cutting leaves and moved more towards leaf tucking and only cutting when you really have to, or it's just so overgrown that, you know, it's
and some plants
hindering the plant's performance.
Some plants do just have a lot of leaves.
Some are just really bushy.
It is just the genetics as well. So again, just use your best judgment as far as that goes, but we tend to scale it back as far as defoliation, unless they're covering bed sites. And then number 4 is a very, very, very important tip.
Your target environment in flower phase. So really for us, or at least me with autos, everything in the same tent. That means we have seedlings, we have plants in flower, we have plants in veg. For me, as a general rule, I just try and keep my tent maintained around a 50% humidity the entire grow. Just because everything is in the same tent, I'm just aiming for like a ballpark middle ground that's gonna make everything happy, and then also not get issues with bud rot in your flowering plants.
We've had this in the past.
Yeah, Heaven has had bud rot in the 5x5 because of out of control temps and humidity, and definitely suffered and lost plants because of that. So you want to keep an eye on that. And if you're doing everything in the same tent, kind of like we are, 50 is a good middle ground for your humidity, and you're not going to see really issues with bud rot if you're keeping it around there. And then temperature wise, I like to keep my tent around a target of 75, which can be hard to do in the summer, just depending on where you are. But trying to keep your temp in a reasonable range with the humidity of around 50 should prevent issues with bud rot. And you also, in the same token, you want good air circulation. You want good airflow through your canopy, through underneath your plant canopy. So where you have everything trimmed up, that bottom third, you want airflow through there, below and above your plants, to prevent bud rot or anything like that within your buds.
Right.
You know, if they're
so
getting
if you
dense.
are having some kind of an issue with humidity, and it's just something that it's you know, sometimes you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
I had a heck of a time with it, believe me. I definitely struggled with it myself. So if you can't do anything, at least try to get that air movement, if nothing.
Yeah.
If you can't completely get your humidity to a good level where it's ideal, at least try to get that air movement.
Yeah, and just keep an eye on your plants. You know, watch for leaves turning like yellow, like your sugar leaves. If they start turning like a golden bronze and they're dead, chances are you might be having some bud rot, so you might want to inspect your buds really good, and just keep an eye on that. But really just try and keep your humidity in 50% or lower. 50 to 55 should be fine. Just keep an eye on it, but definitely make sure your airflow's right. Get as much circulation as you can. That's just going to help prevent and make sure you have any issues with your plants in flower, and your seedlings and your veg plants should be completely fine with that. So that's how we do it and run everything in the same tent, and have had good results. But obviously if it does get away, you're going to run into issues. So it's always something you want to monitor. That's where things like the AC Infinity fans help with the, you know, ramping of the speed and stuff to pull out more air and things like that. It's definitely going to help.
It's been helping me. I just have such a hard humidity and temperature in my tent. I've struggled with it. It's definitely something I struggle with. So you're not alone if you are.
Yeah, definitely. Just make sure you watch on that. And like we said, we got discount codes on AC Infinity fans. So
yes,
if you guys need,
help tremendously.
Save you some coin, and it helps the channel out. So they do have the new clip-on oscillating fans too. We'll be doing a review on those soon. So those are pretty awesome. But the last thing is when are they done? We get so many questions all the time.
When are they done? When are they done?
Yep, that's the number one tip.
How do you know it's time to chop that baby?
Chop that baby. So you guys have heard us say before, 84 out the door, and that's a good general rule of thumb. And what we've seen with autos is around that time, what you're looking for
more of a guideline
on your plants is how do the trichomes look. Get a jeweler's loop, look at your trichomes. Don't just look at your very top buds, look all over the plant. And when you look through the loop and you're looking at your trichomes, what you want to see is all cloudy, definitely cloudy, but you're looking for around 15 to 25% amber. So when you look at a given spot under the loop at the trichomes, you want about 15 to 25% of them in any area you look to be amber color. So that means it's going to be probably the perfect time to chop. If you go all cloudy, tends to give you a more energetic high. If you're chopping it when it's clear, you're probably going to get more of a jittery effect that we found. So that's usually a little too soon for us. We usually don't chop at clear.
I mean, it is completely dependent on how you want the effect.
In your preference.
But as far as us, I prefer, again, the 20
Yep.
percent-ish amber.
And the later you let it go, the more amber it gets, the more couch lock effect it's gonna have. So it's really up to your preference, but generally, best rule of thumb is around 15 to 25% amber in any given spot, and definitely all the rest are cloudy. And you just want to watch for that, and when it's ready, then it's time to chop. So we found that most autos get to that stage in around 84 days. That's why we say 84 out the door, but definitely that's not the go-to every time, because you'll see plants that take longer. Certain genetics will take longer, or maybe mistakes you made over the grow might have stunted the plant and make it take longer. So that's why really the definitive answer is look at your trichomes. What are your trichomes telling you?
Exactly.
Watch your trichomes. And
trichomes are what's actually going to tell you. You could go say 84 out the door. Like we said, it's a basic rule of thumb that we use just to kind of keep a good guideline for our plants, but we don't pull them until they're that amber. I mean, sometimes they do take longer, and sometimes they're done way before. It's really dependent on the trichome.
Yep, and it's on the plant. So just watch the trichomes when they're ready. That's when you chop them. Sometimes we do 24 hours of darkness.
Oh yeah.
Bro science maybe, who knows? But I think it helps something. What do you guys think? What
that
are
is
your
a good
guys'
question.
top 5 tips for flower?
What are your top 5 tips for bloom? And I also want to know if people do the darkness.
Yeah,
and
how below, guys. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you missed the other top 5 seedling tips and top 5 veg tips, there'll be links down in the description below. You can check out
Highigan.com. Check out Highigan.com. I got all the hookups. And also check us out on Instagram and Discord.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you in the next one.